Airports all around the world are bustling hubs of activity. Planes are taking off and landing every few minutes, carrying passengers to their destinations. It's a system that operates almost seamlessly. But beneath all that activity, there's a hidden danger that airport authorities must work hard to mitigate: bird strikes. Bird strikes, or collisions between birds and aircraft, can have serious consequences. They can damage aircraft, endanger the lives of passengers, and lead to costly delays. To prevent this from happening, airports have developed sophisticated strategies, and each part of the process, from early detection to response plans, plays a critical role in keeping both planes and birds safe. Bird strikes are not a new problem. In fact, they've been happening for as long as humans have flown. But as the number of flights increased, so did the likelihood of these accidents. In some instances, the birds are small and the damage is minimal, but in others, the impact can be catastrophic. A bird hitting an aircraft during flight could cause serious engine failure, structural damage, or even lead to a crash. The most famous example of a bird strike happening mid-flight is the 2009 Miracle on the Hudson incident, when US Airways Flight 1549 struck a flock of Canada geese shortly after takeoff from LaGuardia Airport. The bird strike disabled both engines, and the pilot, Captain Chesley Sully Sullenberger, made a heroic emergency landing in the Hudson River. Fortunately, everyone on board survived, but the event highlighted how dangerous bird strikes can be, especially when they happen at high altitudes. The question is, how do airports prevent and handle such incidents? The answer involves a combination of technology, natural strategies, and human efforts. Airports rely on a mix of high-tech equipment, skilled personnel, and partnerships with environmental agencies to manage the delicate balance between flight safety and wildlife conservation. It's a challenge that requires constant vigilance, as birds don't adhere to any predictable schedule. One of the first steps in managing bird strikes is to understand why they occur. Birds are drawn to airports for several reasons. Airports, by their very nature, provide wide open spaces that can mimic the habitats birds need. These spaces often feature grassy areas, bodies of water, and sometimes even tall trees or shrubs. Some birds, especially migratory species, use airports as stopover points during their long journeys, while others may be attracted to the abundance of food that can be found on the ground. The lights from the runways, along with the open skies above, can also disorient certain bird species, making them more likely to get too close to the flight path. In response to this, airports need to first assess the bird populations around them. They do this by conducting regular surveys of the area, identifying the types of birds present, their migration patterns, and the times when they are most active. Airports in certain regions, especially those near bodies of water or open fields, tend to have larger bird populations. For example, airports in coastal or wetland areas often deal with larger flocks of waterfowl, which can pose a significant risk to aircraft during takeoff and landing. To manage these risks, many airports use a variety of tools to monitor bird activity. One of the primary methods is radar systems, which can detect birds in the vicinity of an airport. These radars are designed to track the movements of both small and large flocks of birds, and can provide real-time data about their location and speed. By using radar, airports can get a clearer picture of where birds are and when they might pose a threat to flights. This is particularly important during peak migration seasons, when birds are more likely to be traveling in large groups. Aside from radar, many airports also rely on trained bird spotters who work on the ground to observe and report bird activity. These spotters are often stationed in towers or at strategic locations around the airport, watching for signs of bird movement. If they spot birds in the vicinity of an active runway or flight path, they immediately alert air traffic control and ground crews, who can take action to prevent a collision. Another important strategy airports use is bird repellents. Airports use a range of techniques to make their runways and surrounding areas less attractive to birds. One common method is habitat modification. For example, they might cut grass short or remove food sources to make the area less inviting to birds. In some cases, airports use special sounds or visual deterrents to scare birds away. These could include loud noises, like shotgun blasts or pyrotechnics, or visual deterrents such as flashing lights, large inflatable birds, or even hawk-shaped kites. These methods are designed to confuse or scare the birds into leaving the area. One particularly interesting technique that has been gaining popularity is the use of trained birds of prey, particularly falcons. Falcons, being natural predators of smaller birds, are used at some airports to scare away unwanted avian visitors. The sight of a falcon in flight is enough to send most smaller birds fleeing, as they instinctively recognize the predator's presence. By using these trained raptors, airports can keep the skies clear of potentially hazardous birds without causing them harm. In addition to these preventive measures, airports also rely on the cooperation of pilots and air traffic controllers to handle bird strikes when they do occur. Pilots are trained to remain calm and follow established protocols if they encounter a bird strike during flight. They are taught to immediately assess the situation, check the instruments to see if there is any damage, and alert air traffic control. If the aircraft has suffered significant damage, pilots may need to make an emergency landing, either back at the airport or at the nearest suitable location. Depending on the severity of the strike, airports can also implement bird strike emergency plans to quickly address any safety concerns that arise. Once a bird strike is reported, the incident is thoroughly investigated. Aviation authorities will typically inspect the aircraft to determine the extent of the damage, while wildlife experts might examine the remains of the bird to identify the species involved. This data is invaluable for understanding the risks of future bird strikes and improving preventive measures. In some cases, the bird remains may be sent to laboratories for further analysis, particularly if the species is rare or protected under wildlife conservation laws. After an incident, airports often reassess their bird management strategies. They may tweak their methods of bird deterrence, make changes to their wildlife monitoring systems, or even update their emergency response protocols. This continuous cycle of assessment and adjustment is key to improving airport safety over time. One of the most challenging aspects of handling bird strikes is that birds don't always follow predictable patterns. Migration routes can shift due to changes in climate, food availability, and other environmental factors. In addition, birds don't always respond to deterrence in the same way, meaning airports must constantly adapt their strategies to meet new challenges. Furthermore, airports are often situated in urban environments, where the presence of birds is just one part of a larger ecosystem that includes humans, pets, and other animals. This can make it difficult to create a solution that works for everyone involved. Despite these challenges, modern airports continue to improve their ability to prevent and handle bird strikes. Technological advancements, better communication systems, and increased awareness of the importance of bird conservation all play a role in minimizing the risks posed by bird strikes. For example, many airports are working to make their facilities more eco-friendly by planting bird-friendly vegetation and creating wildlife corridors to give birds safe pathways to navigate around the airport without crossing flight paths. Ultimately, the goal is to find a balance between protecting aircraft and passengers while also respecting the natural world. Birds play a vital role in ecosystems, and airports must work hard to ensure that their efforts to prevent bird strikes do not negatively impact local wildlife populations. This requires a combination of science, technology, and a deep understanding of both aviation and environmental principles. Preventing and handling bird strikes is a complex and ongoing challenge for airports. From using radar systems to employing trained falcons, the methods used to keep planes and birds safe are diverse and constantly evolving. While the risks of bird strikes can never be entirely eliminated, the strategies in place today have made air travel significantly safer. As technology continues to improve and our understanding of wildlife behavior grows, the likelihood of bird strikes causing serious harm will continue to decrease, ensuring that both passengers and birds can coexist safely in the skies. Don't forget to subscribe for more insights and updates. Hit the bell icon to stay notified of our latest videos.